Hello, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to another edition of Virtual Storytime. And I am your host, Dr. Dwayne Dice, and I'm here with some young people, and as well as our special reader who is calling in from New York, and she's none other than Miss Judy Villeneuve. And we are going to get over to our reader in a little while, but I have to tell you that this is virtual story time, as well as coming into you in collaboration with Morningside Primary and Infant School over there in St. Elizabeth. I am Dr. Dwayne Dice. I'm the chair for the Education Task Force, and we're going to get started now in talking to our young people here from right across Jamaica. And then we get into the story. So we are going to ask them to introduce themselves and then ask our reader to introduce herself and then take it away. Okay. Now let's start with Mr. Cedric Mullins. Introduce yourself, please.
My name is Cedric Mullins. I attend the Excelsior High School and I live at Montreal's Mavis Bank, St. Andrew.
All right, thank you, sir. And let's get to Donique. Donique, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Donique Roden. I attend the Denby High School and I live in Clarendon.
Okay, thank you, Donique. Very good. Let's Ayla, go ahead, please. Hear from Ayla.
Hi, my name is Ayla Brown, and I'm attending St. Andrew Technical High, and I'm living in Kingston, St. Andrew.
Yes, thank you so much, Ayla. Over to you, Gabriella. Wait, unmute, Gabriella.
Hi, my name is Gabriella Heath. I attend Mona High and I live in St. Andrew.
Yes, thank you, Gabriella. Very clear there. Sukashi, go ahead, your turn. Introduce.
Good evening, my name is Sukashi Lee Jones. I attend the Karen Hall High School and I'm calling from St. Mary's.
Yes, very good. And I said earlier on that Leo will be very proud of you calling in from St. Mary because Mr. Leo Gillen is the JD Tan chair and he is from St. Mary. He loves St. Mary, or Akabesa he's from, to be exact. Okay, Rajan, or maybe I'm pronouncing your name incorrectly. Please introduce yourself, sir.
My name is Rajan Glaive. I attend the Denby High School and I live in the parish Clarendon.
All right, thank you so much, Rajan. Marquise, you're next.
My name is Marquise Hutchinson. I attend Mavis Bank High and I'm calling from St. Andrew.
Okay, all right, Marquise. I think we have everyone now. Thank you so much, wonderful people right across Jamaica. And now I'm gonna hand over to our reader, Miss Judy Villeneuve. She's gonna introduce briefly herself, and then we get into the reading. Our wonderful scholars are going to listen to our reading, or Miss Judy's reading, of course. And then we ask a few questions, get into a little discussion with our young people, finding out about the story, what they like about the story, what they learned from the story, certain characters, morals, all of that. Okay, Miss Villeneuve.
Thank you, Dr. Dice. Hi, boys and girls. As Dr. Dice said, my name is Judy Villeneuve. I work for the New York City Department of Education for public schools here. I have a child in high school, and I realize all of you are in high school, so I'm really excited to have an opportunity to read to you today. I just want to quickly say that I am also a Jamaican. My parents were born there in St. Elizabeth and Clarendon. So it's also just really nice to be able to connect with Jamaica. So I'm going to start reading. The story that we're reading today is called Behind the Lie. The author is Asha Nehemiah, and the illustrator is Aindri Chakraborty.
Okay. So we're going to bring up the story and let's see, where's our story? Okay, here we go.
Okay, great.
Yeah, on the line.
All right, so if we can go to this next page, we can start the story.
Yes.
As soon as their father left for work, Ramesh swept up the broken glass while Vali made the tea. Though she was only 8 years old, she had already learned how to make the strong, sweet tea that their mother liked. In between sips, Amma held the warm glass to her throbbing forehead and her swollen cheek. I fell, I tripped, the glass shattered when I dropped. These were Amma's usual excuses, and no one looked beyond what she said, not even when the children started repeating the lies. Buying the bread for the third day in a row? Asked Murugan, the owner of the neighborhood store. There weren't many customers at his store that morning, so he chatted with Vali as he entered her purchases into his account book. If your Amma is still not well enough to cook, don't you think you should take her to the doctor? It's not that kind of illness, Murugan Anna, Vali sighed. What kind of illness is it then? Murugan persisted. Just that her arm is hurting very badly, because she tripped on the road and fell straight on her shoulder. Vali repeated the lie, her mother's lie. But her eyes told another story, and though she avoided Murugan's eyes, he felt very uneasy. Something was not right. He discussed it with his wife, Sarasa, later that evening, and was shocked to hear the truth about Vali's mother, Mikanshi. It's not tripping or falling. It's her monster of a husband. Looks like he wouldn't hurt a fly, but that's just a mask. Poor Mikanshi. She puts up with all his blows and beatings to protect the children. Murugan was very upset. I didn't know this. Why didn't you tell me earlier? We should have done something. After all, both families had lived on the same street for years. It wasn't right that Mikanshi and her children should suffer like this. You mean you've never noticed? Sarasa was surprised. Mikashi's bruises, the cut lip some weeks ago? It breaks my heart, she sighed. But what can we do? Interfering might only make things worse. Murugan wondered how he could help without making things worse for Mikashi and her children. He thought about it deeply before coming up with a plan. The help Murugan arranged arrived at Vali's door some days later. It came wearing a wide smile and a khaki police uniform. I'm Sub-Inspector Jaya, the young policewoman introduced herself. My uncle, Murugan Mama, asked me to visit you. I got off duty early today, so I stopped here on my way home. Luckily for Vali and her family, Appa was traveling on work. When their father was at home, the three of them lived under a cloud of fear, always scared about doing something that could set off his violent temper. Don't make Appa angry, Mikashi would beg her children every day. No singing, Ramikesh. Please don't bounce that ball, Vali. Sub-Inspector Jaya listened patiently when the children told her all of this. Then she and Amma spoke in low voices for a long time while the children did their homework. When it was time to leave, Jaya insisted that they note down her mobile number. You can call me anytime, day or night, and if I can't come myself, I'll have the beat policeman at your door in minutes, she promised. But I don't have a phone, Amma pointed out. My husband refuses to let me have one. Jaya made Amma write down her number anyway. This terrible situation is not your fault, were her parting words to them as she got onto her bike. This violence is not okay, and the three of you should never suffer in silence, thinking it is normal. Meenakshi, you must think about what we've discussed and do some of the things I've suggested. After she left, Vali asked Amma what Jaya meant. The sub-inspector wants me to write someone in our family telling them how things are. She says we should not keep hiding our problem, that we should share our problem with people who care for us. She also said I could file a complaint at our police station if I wanted, but I don't know what to do. Will any of this really help us? Ramesh nodded gloomily. He was moody and suspicious of everyone these days, more so ever since he too had become the target of Appa's anger whenever he rushed to help Amma. The sub-inspector wouldn't have given us her personal number anyway. Try calling that number, he challenged his mother and sister bitterly. I bet you a full bar of chocolate that you'll just get a recorded message, or no one will answer. Let's write to someone first then. Why not write Pati? Vali knew Appa was a little scared of his mother. It took a few days, but Amma did finally write Pati. Then they all waited eagerly for a reply. A visit from Pati would be nice. She was strict with them, but what fun they had when she visited, bringing tins of homemade snacks with her. She would braid Vali's hair in a new way each day and play cricket with them in the tiny lane. Amma would join them sometimes. Pati and Ramesh would sing together at home, and though Appa would look very irritated, he would control his temper while Pati was there. Yes, their grandmother would tell Appa that his violence was not acceptable. But when 2 weeks passed, with no answer from Pati, all three grew downcast. What could they do next, they wondered sadly. Appa had been traveling, and when he returned, he had some news for them. My mother called me a few days ago, he said gruffly. She's arriving here tomorrow. She wants to stay a few months. Months! I can't understand why. Here. He flung some money on the kitchen counter. Pay the bill at the store and don't forget to buy Mother's special brand of coffee when you buy provisions for the month. As soon as he left, slamming the door angrily behind him, the children jumped with excitement. Give us a little of that money to buy sweets, Amma, Ramesh pleaded. Amma agreed. More rare than the money she gave each of them was the half smile on her face. On their way to school, Vali made Ramesh stop at Murugan's store. After Sub-Inspector Jaya's visit to their home, Murugan made it a point to talk to the children whenever he could. He was busy when they entered the store, so Vali prodded Ramesh to place where the sweets were displayed. You had better buy me a full bar of chocolate before you spend your money on anything, she demanded, because I am sure going to win the bet. It took Ramesh a minute to remember the bet he had made the day Sub-Inspector Jaya had visited. He laughed and told his sister to hurry up. When Vali had chosen what she wanted, she went up to Murugan and asked whether she could make a call from his phone. She dialed Jaya's number. Yes, Murugan Mama, answered a familiar voice at the other end. Vali wiggled her thumb at Ramesh. So much for him thinking that the policewoman wouldn't answer their call. Jaya Akka, it's me, Vali. Is everything all right, Vali? Do you need help? Jaya sounded concerned. We're fine, Akka. I just called to tell you that my Pati is coming to stay with us for a few months because Amma wrote telling her about Appa and how bad things were. That's such good news. And now you also know how to reach me, right? You can call me any time for help. The call over and Murugan's many questions answered, the children started unwrapping their chocolate as they left the store. Vali's heart felt lighter, not just because of the chocolate they were sharing, not even because of the whole extra bar she had won, but from her brother. But because for the first time in months, she could hear Ramesh singing softly to himself as they walked to school. The end.
Okay, that's very good. The end. Now, we are going to talk. It's quite a lengthy story, but it's a good one. It's very good. So let us talk. Thank you very much, Miss Villeneuve. Excellent reading as usual. So let's talk, ladies and gentlemen. Let us talk. What do you think about this story, first of all? That's my first question. Anybody, what do you think about this story? Yes, Cedric, you first. Go ahead.
I think that the story is influencing because it's true that when you have problems at home, you must not keep it to yourself.
You must not keep it to yourself. Well, so it means that they were having some problems at home. All right, good one, Cedric. You're getting us in the right direction. All right, so it talks about some problems at home. Anyone else want to share just in general what you think about the story? Yes, Gabriella, go ahead, please.
The story is practically saying if you experience any abuses or problems at home, you should share it with your loved ones so you can be more protected.
Yes, yes. Now, very good. Both of you are heading in the right direction there. Having problems at home. How do you think the students or the little kids dealt with it? How did they deal with it? The problems that they have at home. And what sort of problems were they having? Maybe we should start there first. The sort of problems that they were having. Anyone wants to jump in? Maybe Marquise? What sort of problems were they having? All right, go ahead, Marquise.
Family problems. Family problems.
Family problems. Okay. What sort of family problems were they having? Ella, you want to go? What sort of family problems were they having? Go ahead, Ella.
Their father was abusive.
The father was very abusive. How did we know that the father was very abusive? Donique, how do we know? I'm getting to you, Cedric and Gabriella. How do we know that the father was abusive? Cedric, go ahead.
Because the story itself tells us that the father was abusing his wife.
All right, the father was abusive to the wife. Sukashi, how do we know that there was abuse in the home? That he was abusive to the wife and probably extended to the children?
Because the story was talking about his hot temper and how he beat his wife.
Okay, and what did they do, especially the wife? How did she handle it? How did she handle
He had to
abuse?
make up stories. He had to make up stories to cover it.
Yeah, she made up stories. Maybe she was feeling as if nobody is supposed to know about these abusive treatments. So she started making up stories and even telling the kids to lie, about these things. Gabriella, what is it you wanted to share earlier on about the situation at home?
Oh, the reason the father was abusive because of the bruises on the wives, and
Yeah.
she tried to cover up it with lies and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Rajan, give us your take from the whole situation. You have listened. What's your take on all of this so far?
In my take on the story, the father, we all know that the father was abusive because in the story it also mentioned that the father didn't allow her to have a phone.
Yeah. The wife couldn't have a phone.
Wasn't allowed to have a phone.
Yeah. Why do you think that is important for the father not to have the wife having a phone?
In that situation, it could be that the father was either jealous or anything, or it could be those situations.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It could be. Yeah. Yes, Cedric, go on. Thank you, Rajan. Cedric, yes, over to you.
I think Sir, I think it's the reason why he doesn't want her to have a phone is because he might be abusing her, and one day less, and she calls the police, and he get caught. She explains what he's doing to her, and the police come for him and take him in custody.
Yeah, that could happen too. And maybe she's protecting him, you know, she doesn't want the kid's father to go off like that. Maybe she's probably trying to figure out that if he will change. All right, I'm gonna Sukashi, I'm gonna get you to respond a little while. Let me hear from Dimitri. He came on a little late and I want him to share something before we go on to you, okay? So Dimitri, you came on a little bit later. What do you think about this story? You can unmute.
Father is being very abusive to the family. The children are scared of the father, I think.
Okay. All right. Dimitri, is that your brother?
My twin brother.
Oh my goodness, you have twins on here again? This is wonderful. I'm an identical twin, you know. I'm totally identical too. So I identify with you too. Very good. What grade are you in?
No,
7th grade.
7th grade. Okay. 7th grade. Okay, wonderful. All right. Sukashi, I wanted you to respond. Now we're gonna take it in another direction as well. But share what you wanted to say.
I was going to say that maybe the reason why he didn't want the wife to have a phone was because he was feeling a little bit insecure about the situation. You think maybe she'd want to find somebody new who would treat her the way she deserves.
Yeah, always. Very good. That's a very, very good reflection. Because sometimes you're in the situation and you really, really want to get out of it and get somebody to appreciate you, you know, to treat you just like how you should be treated. So maybe that's why he doesn't want her to have any contact with the outside world at all, you know. Miss Villeneuve, what is your take from reading the story? Because we all have gone through something similar to this. I've not detrimental like this story, but I've seen it happen in families right across the world. Yes, give us your take from the reader's perspective.
Well, first of all, this is a really terrific story to share with students and to share with families, because it shows that the community is there to support you. You see how the owner of the store, Morgan, showed an interest in the children, how, you know, when he found out something was going wrong in the household, he reached out and provided, you know, whatever assistance he could in order to help the family. It shows you that no matter how bad a situation can feel like it is at home, that you're not alone, and that you know, you can tap into resources outside to get the help that you need. I think the children did what they thought they could do. I mean, the little boy even started to defend his mother, and if you recall in the pictures, he had a Band-Aid on his forehead, so he himself had started to get abused. But children can't do as much as an adult can. So I really love this story because it shows you that even if you're a child, you can share information. It's not just the mom, because sometimes the mom doesn't want to share because she's afraid of the father and she's afraid that she'll get abused again. So this story shows that children can also be empowered to share. They have the opportunity and access to people outside. And so I think it's a really great story to learn how you guys are strong enough to help other people.
Yeah, very much. No matter how small your voice, you think your voice is, it's very small. So now you open up us to another dimension in terms of what the students did, what the kids did in order to get help. So we want to talk about that for a brief moment here. What did they do in order to get help outside of the family, outside of that home? What were some of the things the kids did? All right, who wants to go first before we start moving around? Maybe Ella, you want to go first? What are some of the things that the kids did in order to help them? Let's unmute and then Yes.
They called the officer.
They call the officer. All right. Short. Yes, they call the officer. Thank you, Ayla. Gabriela, what did they do? And then
They communicated with people that is close to them or people they think could help.
Yeah. They started talking to people in the community. Good. Takashi?
They gave subtle hints to the shopkeeper.
Yes. They start so simple people, everyday people they started talking to. Especially the ones they're seeing on a daily basis. Cedric, you want to say something?
They tried mostly to do things not to get their father upset because they don't want their mother to be abused.
Yeah. So they kind of keep it on the wrap, so to speak, because they don't want any detriment to get to the mother, and they know the lies that the mom is telling just to protect the family. So yes, they know. Marquise, what do you think the kids are doing to protect them, to let people know that this is happening?
Contact.
Say that again.
Contact them.
Contact.
Grandmother.
Yeah. Totally contacting people. Do you think there's anything else that they could have done as a family? What else could they have done as a family? Think outside the box there, outside the story. What else could they put in place in the family? As a family they could have done. The children, the mother, what else could they have done? Rajan?
I'm thinking about it.
You think, okay. All right, let's hear from Marquise. You want to go? What are some other things that they could have done in the family? You think they could have a meeting with the dad, sit him down and talk to him about his impact on the family? Do you think so, Gabriela?
Well, I think so, yes, but wouldn't he get a little bit more abusive? And
Maybe, probably, but by sitting down and talking to him, he probably could make a little difference, just a tiny bit of a difference by just probably listen to them just a little bit or even see their part. Even if he get loud and start becoming crazy again, he probably could. Probably, How about talking to maybe the church? Could they have spoken to the church in the community to get the pastor to say, listen, talk to this guy? Huh?
Yeah.
It could have. All right. Now, before we close off, I'm going to share my screen again and show you some things that we can do. Especially now, the reason we chose this story because there are reports on the abusiveness in our homes because of the lockdown with COVID, and they said that the data shows that more crazy stuff happens because of the lockdown, because of staying at home a whole lot more. People get agitated when they start to take it out on their family members, and that is why we chose the story for everybody around the world to become aware of these situations that can take place. So these are some of the things that we can do to cope with if we have violence in the home. One of them is that we can talk. No one should suffer violence in silence. So you're supposed to talk about it. Talk. And Miss Villeneuve, can you go through some of these?
Yes, I'd be happy to. All children and adults have the right to live in safety, especially within their home. The violence is never the child's fault. The child's actions or behaviors does not cause the violence. So it's important to know that it doesn't matter what's going on in the house or the fact that you didn't wash dishes or you didn't put something away. You never deserve to be abused. So this speaks about violence in the home is a crime, and it uses India as an example, but it is also a crime in Jamaica, so that you know. And the law protects children and women once the crime is reported. Those found guilty of the crime, they will be punished, but punishment is associated with the laws of the country. So Jamaica will have their own rules against that kind of abuse. When children cannot act on their own to report abuse, their friends and classmates can help. So this is one of the situations where you can share information with your friends. If this is something, or your friend shares something with you, you can be the person to help your friend by sharing that with an adult at school. Suggesting they share the problem with trusted people and following up until they do. Trusted adults could be grandparents, aunts, uncles, neighbors, and again, somebody at school, like a school principal or a teacher that you trust. Another option is discussing the problem with their own parents and seeking their help. So that's the example that Dr. Dice mentioned earlier. And I know it doesn't seem as though that's something that could work initially, but in all honesty, an abusive parent might not realize the impact, and they could feel remorse from having done that to their family, and then at least get them to think about stopping. But yes, you're right, they may not, and that's something that you have to keep in mind, and that's when you reach out to the people in your community.
Yeah, very well, very, very well. All right, so now guys, before we close off, thank you so much for coming on and listening to this story and share substance to the story, to the effect, okay? And we appreciate all of you. Twins, we appreciate you, Dimitri and Demar. We love twins because I'm identical in myself, you know? And I want to say thank you to all of you. But before we go off, okay, I want every one of you just to share one thing very quickly that you want the entire world to remember about this story, what you have learned from the story and what you want to share with the entire world. One thing, okay, from the story. I'm going to start off with Cedric, and then we go around. So Cedric, one thing you want the world to know about this story that you have learned.
One thing I want the world to know about the story, as the reader said, should know that when we are having problems in our homes, the people in the community or the town that we're living in can always help us. So we should not keep it to ourselves. We must let them know what's happening, that they can give us a helping hand.
Yes, very good, Cedric. Thank you so much. The next person, Gabriella. Take us away, Gabriella.
I think even though you think keeping it to yourself would make you safe, it's really not. It's just making the situation worse. And by sharing it with others, you might seek help and make the problem go away. So you should always share your problems with ones you are close with.
Yes, very well. Well said, well said. Ayla, one thing you want to share?
If you are being abused at home, you should always seek help from others, and you should not keep it to yourself.
Yeah, don't keep it to yourself. Thank you. Thank you, Ayla. Dimitri and Demar, what do you two think?
That violence is not supposed to be employed at home.
All right, yeah. And who is talking? Dimitri or Demar? Can't tell.
Demar.
Demar. Okay, so Dimitri, your turn.
And we should continue praying to God, hoping that the situation will get better.
Yeah. Prayer does work, you know, prayer and work works. So you pray and then put your prayer into action. Very well. You two complement each other really well with your comments. Very good twins of twins. Sukashi, what do you think? One thing you want the world to know about this story?
One thing I would like the world to know about this story is that abuse is not okay, and you should always find a way out of the situation that you're in if you want good things to happen.
Yeah,
Don't listen.
definitely. Yeah, yeah. True, true. Gosh, you're very good. Um, Rajan. All right. Yeah, Rajan, go ahead.
One thing I think the world should know is that you should never be afraid to tell anyone anything, because in the end, you never know if it's too late to tell anyone anything.
Yeah, very good. Yes, yes, Rajan. Excellent. And last but not least among us is Marquise. Marquise, what one thing you learned about this and that you want to spread?
The story is interesting, and that when you are getting abused, you must contact someone.
Yeah, very to the point.
Or go to the police.
Or go to the police, or your pastor, or some responsible person in your community, you know? See if you can remedy the situation. Marquise, you're right to the point. You're a man of words. To the point. Excellent. Miss Judy Villeneuve, as a parent, what do you have to say in a short term?
I just want to say that this story really shares how much power a child has. So you're not too small to help yourself and to help someone that you care for. So just keep in mind that you are powerful, no matter how young you are, to make a difference in somebody's life and your own.
Very good. Yes, yes, right. Succinct and to the point. Okay, guys, thank you very much for coming on. We really appreciate you. Please do well in the upcoming school year. Okay, remember that we're behind you 100%. We, as part of the diaspora task force, totally, the education task force is totally against all with you every step of the way. Okay, and if you need anything at all, reach out to us in the education task force. Your teachers know who we are right across and reach out. Marcus, don't tell anybody to load them up. All right. Take care, guys. Everybody, wave to everybody else. Bye.
Bye.
Enjoy your evening. Bye, everybody. Bye, Ayla. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Excuse me, sir. Will you be doing this ever again?
We will be doing this every Tuesday at 7:30 Jamaica time or 8:30 Eastern time, but it's always with different groups. So we choose different groups of students, invite them on to come on to our virtual story time, and we share a story based on the level of the students, and we get a nice discussion out of it. Okay, we try to highlight stories that are relevant too. So we dig deep to find stories that are very relevant. If we're watching news, we look at society, we see what is happening around, and we try to get stories relating. So you can.
And what school are you from?
Me? Oh no, I'm the chair for the education task force. So I represent. Well, basically, I'm the leader for one of the task forces in the JDTAN network. We have several members right across the world, and we provide professional development for teachers in Jamaica, and we meet students just like you, and we talk to them, and we provide support for students right across, not just Jamaica, but the Caribbean and the US as well as anywhere else, England and so on. So we mostly focus on Jamaica though, okay? And we provide support for everybody across Jamaica, educational support, okay?
Dr. Dice, can you share where you graduated from high school and all your other education? I'm thinking that's my view.
Okay, so I went to school, I'm from Jamaica. I went to school in St. Anne. I'm from a very small town in St. Anne. It's called Murray Mountain. It's very close to where Bob Marley is buried right now. It's about 4 or 5 miles from where Bob Marley is buried, straight up in the bush. And then I grew up there. I went to high school. I played soccer, football, you call it football, and cricket. And then I went to college in Mandeville. So I went to Brownstone Community College. Then I went to Teachers College in Mandeville. I lived and worked in Mandeville for a while, about 4 years. And then I migrated to the US. And I worked in Florida. I teach science and math. And then I did some studies all the way up to my doctorate. So I have a doctorate in leadership and management. So that's why they call me Dr. Dice. And then I continue working in education, and I became a part of the Jamaica Diaspora Education Task Force, and I became the second chair of that task force. To give you a little story, we partner with the Ministry of Education, and we partner with the JTA, the Jamaica Teachers Association, to provide wide range of support for students and teachers right across Jamaica and the rest of we call it the diaspora, which is right across around Jamaica and the Caribbean. Okay, so that's basically, I write and publish book. I talk a whole lot, so I'm a talker. If you get me to talk, I usually come to Jamaica. This is the first year I haven't been to Jamaica to talk in graduations, and last year too. Okay, so I'm living in, I live and work in Washington, D.C., the capital in the U.S., and it's really nice, filled with history and so on. Very, very nice. With a lot of museums we visit, with natural history and the history of the Americas, as well as if you go to the African American Museum that they just opened about 2 or 3 years ago, you can even see Bob Marley in there and Marcus Garvey. So our history in Jamaica is very rich. We influence American history, not the other way around. We literally influence the ending of slavery in the Americas. Okay? Jamaica, land of wood and water. All right, guys, got to run. Okay? We'll talk again. Tune in on Facebook. You can go on Facebook and check out some of our story time on JD10 Network, JDTAN, and just watch them. And later on, I'm going to ask Miss Smith to invite us back later on, maybe a couple months down the road when you guys are in school again, and you can come on and share how we are doing moving forward, because you guys are going in 9th grade. You know, you're right at that level that you're going to start thinking about external exams. You have to get serious. You get serious about studying, burn the midnight oil as it is, right, Sukashi? Burn the midnight oil. Try to get into a really good college and become very professional with your work and give back to your communities. My people are still living in Augustown, so I'm originally from Augustown. I go back every time I go. I visit my people there, and some in St. Anne. Okay. All right. Enjoy.
Dr. Dice, can I just recommend very quickly that since school doesn't start until October, that you guys should be reading as much as you can. Read as many books as you can during this time. Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
It's very important.
Have a great school year,
all right, guys. Bye, guys. Twins. Bye. I'm hoping to see you again, twins. All right. Take care. Bye, bye, guys.
Bye. Bye, everyone.
All right.